You're watching IGN at Comic-Con. One of the biggest games of the year stars one of the biggest comic book characters of all time. That's right, bub. Marvel's Wolverine is on his way to PlayStation 5, and to celebrate, developer Insomniac Games had an entire Wolverine panel here at Comic-Con. Here to break down everything we learned at the panel, here's IGN's Ginny Glaze and Max Scoville. What's up, everybody?
There.
Hello there. I see you were just doing some light reading.
Yeah, they gave away a comic at the panel, which I wasn't at, but Ginny, you were.
Yes, I was. It was a really, really great panel. We learned a lot, and honestly, the prequel comic, they said it wasn't a required reading before you play the game, but I definitely think you should because there are some pretty neat tidbits in there. So
I think the broad strokes from the panel, the new story trailer, new story details, the comic book prequel, and then it features a costume from the other Marvel game that Sony has coming this year, Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls, right?
Yes. Pretty cute. Both games are getting tie-in costumes for Wolverine. So Tokon is getting a Wolverine costume for Wolverine, and Wolverine is also getting a Tokon costume from that game, and they each feature their own different styles that tie into those games. They worked really hard on like the shading specifically to make sure that they fit that particular style.
So what was your major takeaways from the panel?
Honestly, the fact that there are no X-Men. It's now Team X, which is really, really cool. And it's kind of going back. So from what I understand, Logan left Team X for 3 years, and now he's coming back. And sort of that energy between him and the team feels a little bit tense. So we're sort of getting back into the groove with him and the squad.
And Team X is Logan, Sabretooth, and Mystique,
yes.
I believe?
Yeah, and according to the prequel comic, Sunfire is in there too,
oh, wow, okay.
Which is, I feel like Sabretooth feels very kind of Weapon X coded, like Mystique kind of fits in that crowd, but Sunfire was in the sort of original Claremont second gen X-Men for a second. I don't know, like Insomniac has a tradition with Marvel stuff of sort of shaking things up in interesting ways, and yeah, it sounds like they dropped a few little tidbits there that actually I don't know. I'm curious. How do you make a Wolverine game without X-Men? You know?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it seems like that seems to be the big question, right? Is like, how does this team of people come together in a world where like there is no major big X-Men team, right?
Max, hold up the cover art for the prequel comic here. Yeah, this is it's looking good.
Cool.
Yeah.
And this is written by Walt Williams, who worked on Spec Ops: The Line, most famously.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Good story there.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think about Logan working together with who's the villain that I just
Sabretooth.
Sabretooth.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, they always have that weird sordid history, like they go back together. What's really interesting there is that Team X's leader is Nathaniel Essex, who most people know better as Mr. Sinister. Mm-hmm. And he shows up in the comic there, and it almost looks like he's sort of playing a Professor X role, where he's like communicating with them distantly. We've seen like glimpses of all these characters in the trailers a bit, but not really understanding how they're configured or how they're arranged. The thing that I think really was interesting that they talked about in the panel, but also is shown off in the trailer, is that Wolverine's kind of doing his Team X thing, and then he meets Jean Grey, who's kind of acting as like a lone wolf type, which is the exact opposite of what we're used to. Usually Jean Grey's in the X-Men, and then she meets Wolverine doing his own solo, lone Wolverine thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, they clearly have some kind of dynamic going on there.
Yeah, I think the actress that plays Jean Grey was there, right?
Yes, there is will they, won't they, almost like a romance type of energy between them. As far as we know right now, from what we learned at the panel, Jean Grey is very much like struggling with her identity as a mutant and trying to protect all of the other mutants that she finds. For her, it's really important to be that protector and to help the rest of the Team X.
So it sounds like there's sort of two factions that are acting as antagonists here. There's Bolivar Trask, creator of the Sentinels. He's a billionaire using his fortune to eradicate mutants, and he's created the Reavers, right, which is these sort of cybernetic soldiers that we see Wolverine tearing apart in the trailers that we've seen so far. Then there's Lady Deathstrike, who's the leader of the Hand. The Hand are what, demon-worshipping ninja? Is that a good, fair way to describe them? Yeah.
Yeah, broad strokes of it. So yeah, that's an odd one. Like in the comics, the Reavers usually work under this guy who's one of the Hellfire Club members. They've kind of reframed Bolivar Trask in the comics. He's usually more of like just kind of a mad scientist type. In this, he's a billionaire who's like funding this whole like anti-mutant operation. And then meanwhile, the Hand side of things, they were sort of teased in Insomniac Spider-Man games. And having Lady Deathstrike attached to them is interesting because usually she's sort of associated with the Reavers. So they're kind of, again, it's the same way they're like, yeah, what if Harry Osborn had the Venom symbiote? Like, it's kind of taking existing components and reconfiguring them in an interesting way, which is one way to make it stand out. Like, it's kind of I don't know. Like, I'm sold on this game, but as far as the story goes, I'm kind of like, I'm not demanding a whole lot. It's Wolverine. I just want to play a game that really makes you feel like Wolverine, you know? But like, hearing that they are kind of taking these bigger swings is intriguing. And the one thing I keep coming back to is like, is the Wolverine Jean Grey dynamic as interesting if Cyclops isn't there? It's not really a love triangle anymore. It's just kind of like a regular romance.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the game feel and getting the feel of Wolverine right, they also spoke to that in the panel as well, right?
Yes, definitely. They really wanted to make sure that you felt the heaviness and the weight of Wolverine's adamantium skeleton. So that was a really big part. And also the Berserker Rage. You know, you want to make sure that you really do feel like you're just clawing your way through enemies and feeling the weight of his movements. And that was a really big deal for them, was that combat.
So Max, you know, you host a PlayStation podcast. This is kind of the big event of the year.
Yeah, it's been a cool minute. We've been waiting for this one.
2021 is when they first showed that teaser trailer. So.
Yeah, and it's been a long wait. And I think Insomniac's honestly done the best heavy lifting of the PlayStation first-party studios this generation. Like, they came out with Miles Morales and then Ratchet and Clank 2, like right at the top of the generation. And we're like, all right, what do you got? And they were like, we're doing Wolverine. And then it's like, it's been a little bit of a wait. So the thing I'm skeptical about is the Spider-Man games are so good because of that, like, you know, it's open world New York and you swing around them as Spider-Man. Yeah. And I feel like people underestimate how much that does for a game. There's a bunch of mediocre earlier Spider-Man games where you're able to swing around New York and people are like, that part's still good. Will the mechanics of being Wolverine, will they be as enjoyable enough on their own to kind of like I guess, be the connective tissue in there, you know? Like, I don't know. I think it's going to be a cool story. I think the combat's going to feel good. They have enough of a good track record there. But yeah, as far as the moment-to-moment vibes of it all, Spider-Man is some big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
But yeah, on the PlayStation side of things, like, it's nice to have a nice brand new PlayStation game to play. Yeah. And also, a lot of people are very happy that this is in fact getting a physical on-disc release.
You know, I'm glad you brought that up because it's the elephant in the room. It's the thing Sony can't get away from right now. They've released 3 trailers today, the Wolverine one and then 2 Marvel Tokon trailers. And again, the comments are just completely flooded with physical disc comments. Jenny, how long is this going to take for Sony to be able to put this issue behind it?
I don't know that will ever happen. I mean, it does make sense that there is such a backlash. I mean, physical media is more important now than ever, as we have seen. You know, everything's going digital, but like, what are the ownership rights when it comes to digital media? Things like that. Yeah. And with these games coming out, I know that Sony has said they're going to stop that production as of January 2028. So games that are coming out in the next 2 years, well, the next year, people are really like, oh, I've got the last physical game that's going to come out from PlayStation. It gives you like a kind of a countdown, sort of anxiety feeling.
I mean, they may have guaranteed that Wolverine sells a lot of copies on physical disc.
Yeah.
That's an odd situation because like people want to send the message that physical media matters, but I think they also don't want to give Sony money. So it's this kind of weird push me pull you of like, do you buy a physical copy or do you just not buy PlayStation stuff anymore? Yeah. And in this case, I don't know. I think a lot of people are going to want to play this game.
I want to play this game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It looks really good. All right. Well, thank you both so much. Marvel's Wolverine comes to PlayStation 5 on September 15th, 2026. We've got lots more IGN at Comic-Con ahead, so stick around.